and you already know something gonna pop off in you. When I was young, I was on my way to football practice, and I used to walk past this flower pot, right? And I walk past it every day, and I read, was water. I would say it was water next time fire. Was water next time fire. Was water next time fire. How does that mean? I was like 8. I got 12 or 13, I was like, oh. Was water next time fire. Y'all get it? I was on the flower pot. Who would write that on the flower pot? I don't want to go too far before you had something to add?
No, I just wanted to say, we were talking about the cell phones and the Bluetooth, right? The cell phone literally gives me a headache. You think if somebody says, somebody will speak to you and they stick the phone here, you do that. I'm like, no, you know, I wear Bluetooth, I keep it off and I'm not using it. But this don't bother me. That cell phone, I can feel it like when it comes like this. It's like really weird. And I know people stay on their phone all day, and when they fall asleep at night, it's right there. Because they fell asleep on the phone. Like, that thing don't bother your head?
That Bluetooth don't bother yours? In order for you to hear, there has to be what from the phone to the Bluetooth?
It's
Transmission.
yeah.
There has to be a transmission. Signal, right?
Right.
Ah,
And for some reason, this, I can hear
it ain't bothering you yet. It ain't bothering you yet. Now, I ain't wishing nothing on you. You know that. But when them things came out, everybody was walking around with them big old blocks on the side of their head and the light went. That's energy.
Yeah.
It's got to get there some kind of way. It's called radiation. It's a transmission. How many years we've been sitting in front of the TV with radiation in our hands? Yeah, you can feel it. Yeah, how about that? One of my homies had a brain tumor from the cell phone.
That was the mayor.
One of my homies had a brain tumor.
The mayor, you know.
That was a year ago. And he bounced back 100%. He's a saxophonist. They told him he was never going to play the sax again. He blown like nobody else. Sure enough, from the cell phone. You right.
That's what happened to the lawyer. Johnny Cochran.
That's what they said.
No, right.
That's what they said.
You're right.
Yeah.
That first, the mayor out there, what was that, Detroit, when they had the big gigantic things they called cell phones, that was given to him. Yeah. And he died from a brain tumor. First.
When they decide to really put this to use again, because it's a possibility that this caused Katrina. It's a possibility this caused what happened in Haiti. It's a possibility that this caused what happened in Venezuela. Right? And Japan. Y'all know, I know this because of Holocaust. Right after that earthquake in Japan, there was a slow up on Nissans, Hondas, and Toyotas. Right? Why? Because the factories were underwater. Right? That was the first time in over 30 years GM outsold any Japanese car. Where they make GMs at? And where they make them at?
Mexico?
Canada, Mexico, here.
North America?
United States. And the corporation. We ain't putting that on there. Anyway, that's the first time in all them years that GM outsold those Japanese cars. Because they was trashing them for all them years. Now, y'all might not know this, but in order for them to get their thing popping, they had to build some plants over there. And then Honda and Toyota just started all of a sudden having all these issues, all these recalls. Cars just ain't right no more. I ain't saying heart caused what happened in Japan. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But these types of things you need to be aware of, because these are the types of things that they're using. They ain't making no excuses for it. And you ask, why would the de facto create this sort of damage here? And then we talk about sustainable development. Y'all heard that term before, sustainable development?
Yes.
Sustainable development means development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Too late.
That's too late.
Too late. They done ruined the earth.
That's too late.
Yes, good work.
Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Now, y'all be hearing about the Bilderberg Group and all of them cats, the Oppenheimers, Schiffs, and Rothschilds, and cats from New York, the Rockefellers, right? Bill Clinton and his wife. You know, y'all know she took Barack Obama to his first Bilderberg meeting right before he went in. Hillary Clinton too, right? Then you got those meetings with the G20?
Yeah.
G20 nations, right? All of these people making all of these decisions behind closed doors that affect everybody else. They talk about the 1% that rules the world. How? How can 1% of anything beat 99%?
We allow it.
It goes back to what the sis was saying earlier, right? No unity. No unity. We so busy arguing about so much petty shit that we can't see what's right in front of us, right? You think they all got the same, no. They go home and do what they do. Or when it comes time for that G20 meeting, when it comes time for that Bilderberg Group, yeah, we all in agreement on what's going to happen. We getting rid of it. You know it's bad when they ain't turned on their own. You know it's bad when they have turned on their own. It was cool to be white. It was cool. Hey, I'm white. Hey, all right, cool. It was cool to be white. Now it's not. Now they saying the same thing that you're saying. I'm in your way. I'm sorry. Now they're saying the same thing that you're saying. They have turned on their own. Right? So earlier when you were saying about unity, I don't know if it was the last class or the class before, and I said something to the effect of if some Europeans, or in fact, it wasn't that. It was a class where I was talking about homosexuality and the rift between everybody. And I said, listen, I wouldn't care if them came and sat at that big table right there. If they want to know, I'm going to teach you. It don't matter who want to know. I'll be on, because at this point, ain't no sides. Well, actually it is. It's the 1% against the rest of us 99 when it comes down to it. Listen, they not joking with sustainable development. You got that? Oh, you got that? Let me know when you're done. But they not joking about that. They not joking about that. They ain't worried about your future. If they were, then they would shut Monsanto down. Hungary, over in Hungary, they burned, I don't know how many acres, but they burned all that Monsanto crap.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They burned all of it.
Good.
They burned all of it. Now, we educated about Monsanto. We talked about it in there. You hear about it everywhere else. We ain't burning no fields. Ain't nobody burning no fields over here. I know somebody who's a legal consultant for Monsanto. Y'all know she ain't know what the hell Monsanto was. She was just doing her job. She had no clue. Who? No, she didn't. Listen, bro. Listen. Let me tell you something, James. Let me tell you something. Everybody don't know what we know, right? And some people, hold on. I see you ready to go. Some people, hold on. Some people are naive as hell. And you got some people who just don't want to know. I don't know about all that. Right? When I tell you I looked in her eyes and she did not know, she didn't know. She didn't know. But this is her client. She didn't know.
Me and the ruler had that same talk one day when after Barack had put that sign in that bill. And that's why I told the ruler, I said, maybe he didn't know. He
No, come on, James, that's different. I did the class on that. That's when we was at the Dindy Center. In fact, that was my first full-length lecture on Monsanto, right? That was at the Dindy Center, and that's when you showed everybody that book medicine.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Now, that bill, I can't remember what that bill was, but the thing was this, y'all. There was some sort of appropriations bill, right? Now, what they did was they stuck in that bill the Monsanto, the Monsanto something plan. The Monsanto. It was about, I think, 38 pages or something like that. But they stuck it in the joint of a map of like 900 pages.
Yeah.
Right. So now, and you remember in that lecture, I said either one or two things. I said either Barack Obama knows and signed it anyway, or he ain't read it and signed it anyway. Right? So it's one or the other. But the point is, it's there. Now, what that act did was this. That act said that Monsanto has the authority to do whatever the hell they want. They can grow what they want. They can do what they want and be where they want. And nobody, not even the Supreme Court, can stop them. There was a senator from Maryland, I don't remember her name, a senator from Maryland and one other guy, I'm thinking from Illinois. They put it together and they stuck it in there, right? So when it got out, everybody started going crazy, like whoa, after it was passed. See, and on top of that, he got the presidential executive orders. He can just stick stuff in, right? That's not the way. See, that's why we need to get into that Constitution, because he ain't got that authority. That's legislative. He's executive, right? That's why that type of stuff is important.
This is the coup, and last president, that all they can do now is executive orders, because it's a cancer growth on the Moorish nation, on the republic, but it's there on top of that and implementing its programs through democracy. But it's the
all operations.
yeah, all operations regarding that. So it's just not, it's like I was sharing, like how the coup in terms of Rockefeller making you docile in the 1902 General Board of Education. And when I got this book called Eternity, and it shows how, how they keep this coup going, how they keep in power, how they generate, the methodology. You're guilty until proven innocent, and that's martial law, and that's always been martial law, and that happened when the coup happened in 1861, and they're just killing the rest of, just to keep us in this position, keep us slumbering, because that's what we're doing, is slumbering, because the energy is within us. We just gotta wake up and know the problem.
It's always been in you. That's why we always say you ain't supposed to put knowledge in, or you can't put knowledge in. Knowledge is already in you. You got to bring it out. You came back with it. For some people, me and the sister talk about that outside. Some people on their first earth walk. I can't imagine anybody in this room is on their first earth walk. Nobody in this room will be on their first earth walk. You lost? I lost you. Oh, okay. I just seen you understand. Right? Some people on their first earth walk, but a lot of us came back with a lot. A lot of us came back with more than others. Right? And a lot of us will get it in our next couple of earth walks.
We got to remember, whenever we're looking at what they're doing, we have to always remember that their board of directors for the Sanctum policy, and this is back to what Sister Delilah was saying, whenever we look at what they're doing and we consider them the Republic's government, we're already off mark. And keep this in mind, in harmony with what you said earlier, because Obama is the foreign dignitary for their corporate entity. What he's been doing, and this is why the Europeans are pissed with him, because they know and he knows that he's not the president of the United States Republic, which is overthrown, which is the Moorish Republic. He's the contractor. He's the CEO contractor for the private corporation registered in France and in Puerto Rico. tried the best he can to tell us without getting shot. This is why he went to Egypt and told the world that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law. That's your tie back. Then Michelle goes to the Alhambra, last stronghold of the Moors, that's the 1492 Romanus Pontifex. Then they come back, sign the rights of indigenous people for these people to declare their nationality, and have a picture taken with the Moorish flag to the left. Then the year before, Rahm Emanuel, so-called Jew, does the proclamation from Mecca, which we call Chicago. And the first thing he issued from his desk on the first full day of winter solstice was the proclamation telling of the estate. That's that proclamation that he did. Now, but the point that I'm making is, whenever we're discussing the branches of government according to Constitution law, whenever we're discussing the branches of government in relationship to the Constitution, everybody must be on the point that the coup d'etat that took place in 1861, May the 10th, was for the specific purpose of institutionalizing peonage and slavery against the Moors. This is what Pope Francis is talking about when he sent that civil order to Obama, because of the Manchurian families with the assassins being loosed on the planet, starting to drop their bankers. So what the Pope is saying, he's telling you in a synopsis the real history, the Masonic secret, period. When we are talking about Obama, Hillary, Trump, we're supposed to know that they are not representatives for the Republic. They're representatives for the, not a corporation, the private, for-profit, human trafficking, unum sanctum operations of the Spanish Inquisition. If you think about them in any other framework, automatically your concepts are wrong, which is why we can't fix things. Their board of directors, there is no Congress. They're the board of directors for the private corporation of the Roman Curia. Imposturing, that's what the de facto is. Imposturing as the legitimate government. And every time we analyze them, if we don't make sure that's in front of the people's canvas, 90% of them will receive this information wrong. Because in their mind, they're thinking electing president of the Republic and the Constitution, and they're wrong, totally wrong. So anything that is done since the assassination of Lincoln is de facto, de facto, de facto. So there's no platform of operations that happens under the United States Corporation Company that is designed for any allodial operations, any allodial titles, any liberties. So to expect it is naive. And this is back to, you know, when you were saying, well, the sister really didn't know, although we know all administrators know it, all people in your upper degrees of masonry know it, Illuminati, Daughters of American Revolution, all your Negro marching, praying, 32-degree Mason, Negro civil rights leader guys know it, all your imams know it, all your rabbis know it, because they are the vampire demons. Now, the point that I'm making is we got to keep reminding ourselves, even when we're dispensation. 1861 was the coup d'etat. The murder of Lincoln was to hide him trying to correct what occurred, because when Lincoln was put in office, keep in mind that the original Constitution for the Republic, the nobility clause, they could not take on titles of nobility because we were the nobles. And they could not be white people because we're the white people. And they could not be president
or hold an office under the agreement between the Muslims and the Christians, which is the United States Republic, to stop the hundreds of years wars between the Muslims and the Christians. That's what the United States is. They could not hold an office if they belonged to the barristers of England. That's original Article of Amendment 13 with its 20 sections and the nobility clause. What occurred was, now keep in mind, Lincoln's grandfather was a Moor. All right, so keep in mind. This is why when you go into the archives and you start looking at him running for president, you'll have him in Moorish garb with a scimitar, right, and satire, right? Now, what they did, because Lincoln could not run for president because he was a member of the Bar Association, and then he did a couple of cases arguing the distinction between Negroes or blacks and Moors, same bloodline, two different statuses, same people. He did about 2 or 3 cases with that, which wasn't too comfortable for them. Now, they set up the United States Corporation Company in France as a cover so that Lincoln could run for president, which he did. He won. Now, what he recognized is that they was using that platform actually to undermine the Republic. Lincoln tried to correct it. That's what got him killed. It is not just him, that Opus Dei case that he did for Charles Chenot, that Opus Dei priest, and he beat that case. It's that, and the fact that he tried to counter, or put it this way, Lincoln was wearing 2 hats, all right? He was president for the Republic, and he was president for the corporate entity that was secretly constructed in France. When he recognized that the secret order was set up to actually overthrow the Republic, he tried to fix it. That was the greenback. To go back to Article 1, Section 10 of the Organic Constitution, Muslim law. He had to go. Then they bumped him off. So the coup d'etat, May the 10th, 1861, was actually a coup d'etat, where the Congress adjourned sine die, in which they quit. What they did, they set up this corporate entity called the United States Corporation Company to disguise this was the political platform set forth as the imposter. No different than they take you and hide you behind there and then get some guy to get off the street, sit him right there, put a fez on him, you understand what I'm saying to you, and start killing off anybody that starts telling the truth, and then you start claiming to be the sovereign. This is exactly what took place. They will talk about the creation of the corporate entity with the Act of Congress, 1871, 10 years later. Sequence, coup d'etat, May 10th, 1861. Murder of Lincoln. Before they murdered Lincoln, they altered the Emancipation Proclamation 3 times before it was issued. This is the 3630 parallel, etc., including the restoration of, on the immediate point of the lands between the Rocky Mountains and the Alleghenies. This is where you get the 40 acres and the mule thing from, all right? Murdered Lincoln. Then they closed the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. That's the official name. Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, which is redesigned as the Freedmen's Bureau. That's what people know it as. 3 years it ran. They killed it, squandered the finance, paid people off, because they would have to nationalize these people and give the land back, give back their names, their religion. You know, this is, so they killed that. Killing that, then they created the corpse, the dead. That's the ens legis. That ens legis was the 14th Amendment. Covered up the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections, and this is why Drawley talks about that in the Divine Warning, etc. Then they registered the defeated Moors as Negroes, blacks, colored, whatever the brand they had in the different territories to create the divisions in engines. Registered them as stock in the corporate Delaware, well they say state of Delaware, corporate Delaware. And the bonds were created against the Moorish Empire, against the estate. This is the World Trust that they talk about. The Cedars Trust and the Sister QV Trust, Sister QV Trust Act of 1666, which is the pattern under canon law. That's the origination of the straw man. And this is what Pope Francis was talking about, the problems that we're dealing with today, started with the corruption 150 years ago. That's exactly what he's talking about. But he knew, and he said it bluntly, but what we know about the people is that they don't know, if they don't know history and law together, they don't know what he's referencing. They're just reading the letter and it's interesting. He's talking about the creation of the dead for the living to bleed off. In other words, they bleed your substance and they convert your blood, your energy, into their food. That's what the corpse is. That's what the 14th Amendment is. And so all inheritance, all labors, all corporal and incorporeal inheritances, future, all property, is put into that trust under the United States Corporation Company operatives who've been pretending to be the Republic. Pretending to be the Republic, etc. Excuse me just a minute. Oh yeah, ratified 1865 by 3/4 of the several states. Now keep in mind, the operations of the persons who are claiming to be the Congress are no longer the Congress. It disappeared. But the same people held the seats to use the sovereign authority regulated by the Muslim law in the Constitution. And keep in mind, the deists warned the people of this, and those deists are called Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and then George, who was appointed because Benjamin wouldn't take position because he was in London. This is when they signed the treaty. Remember, he told these people, he warned them, he says, to one of the women, he says, "Madam, you now have a republic if you're willing to keep it." They lost it, trying to enslave us. So what they did, they took the Constitution of Muslim law, which is the Constitution for the United States, Societas Republica Al-Americanos, made a duplication of it, removed Article 13 in the nobility clause, removed the 20 sections, added 2 sections, and then put the 14th and 15th Amendment as a cover to bring the monkeys, which is the hybrid, into government, called Negro. And then get paid Negro leader guys, so-called black preachers, to tell these people they were colored and Negro. That's their payoff. And once they accepted that, they lost their birthright. Because there's no such thing, Negro is a monkey. All right? So logically, they're outside the human family. The 14th Amendment deals with that corpse of the dead. And so therefore the authoritarian and which is an executor for keeping the estates for the kings of Rome, etc. Would immediately claim right to estates of such persons who are held in wardship. This is where the wardship tenure comes in. So the corporate entity, the platform, the political platform that was structured is the United States Corporation Company and its constitution, which is really its bylaw, dead bylaw, meaning that it is shielded. It can't be used by the public because it's private. The Constitution of the United States. That's the Constitution of the private corporation registered in France, Puerto Rico, 1871. This is why when we talked a little while ago, when we talked about Puerto Rico going bankrupt May the 2nd, it's really the United States Corporation Company that went bankrupt. This is what you gotta, again, Now, so when we're talking about these people claiming to be Congress, better for us, with everybody here, call them board of directors for the United States Corporation Company, acting and posing as Congress and using that said authority unlawfully, i.e. de facto. Therefore, all substance that comes from them, through them, by them, considered for them, or any what you would call breach of the walls of the Trinity, so any breach of the wall, or what you call cross jurisdiction, is by design. It is why that platform is there. The platform of the United States Corporation Company is the deliberation of moving the barriers of the separation of powers. But the veil for the public is that they still remain. That's the key. And so when there's a cross-jurisdiction action, we already know it's designed to do that. The people who don't know about the coup d'etat keep measuring themselves by, in their concept, separation of power. They can't do that. Well, yes, they can. Well, they shouldn't do that. Well, yes, they should. Well, it's not a good idea. Well, that's what they were made for. The problem is, like you were saying, we don't know that. Now, Noble Ali set up the old Canaanite temple for the restoration of the estate. This is why he targeted the 14th Amendment. This is why he opens up with identifying the nation states and the necessity of us stop using those names and terms that allude to slavery, because he's addressing the coup d'etat. And then he talks about the lost estate. That's the world trust. You know, but I just want to, I don't want to ramble on, but I wanted everybody to whenever you look, we're discussing these things, you've got to remember, they are not the Congress, unless you assign it to them. So when we call them the Congress, or when you call them officer, at that moment, oral trust, you just assigned them. Then they use that power against you. This is why we always say, never call them officers. Never call them the office. Always put their private, personal name in front of the office and then qualify. I know it's wordy, but you must say, Freddie Dieseldorfer-Kinski, acting as mayor for corporate entity styled as Philadelphia, as an example, and then you might put its charter date. And the reason you do that, because you have, because what we must always remember to do, the two-hat thing that started with Lincoln, although it started inadvertently, it started with Lincoln. So Lincoln was the last lawful president, but he was also used as the platform to subvert the republic. That must be known by everyone. After him, there's no more lawful presidents. There's no more law. It is a lawless platform, pretending to be lawful, which is what the de facto de jure argument is. And people need to be absolutely clear. When they're saying de facto, I suggest that most people don't know what they're really saying, because what I just told you is what it is. And most people don't know that. They're looking at the issue of the abridgment of Article 1, Section 10, the Gold Act, and they're usually focusing with that. And they're looking at House Joint Resolution 192, June the 5th, 33 under Roosevelt. They look at Woodrow Wilson meeting with the Jesuit order off Jekyll Island, off of Georgia, and they look at those points. Then they look at Richard Nixon in 1971, imposing the, again, abrogation of the Gold Act, which is a continuation of Unum Sanctum policy, where they created the petrodollar, which had become the modern problem that we have now, which is why you got the counter move with Russia and the Manchurian families, meaning they've had it up to here. And the heirs of the estate, just right here, they're like the last ones to know what's going on. I mean, Do you understand? They don't know they're at the center because we've been, how do you say, minimized for so many generations. We keep looking at things that others are doing, not knowing that we're at the center of the hub and the most sleep. Key. In relationship to that coup d'etat, if we know that we've talked about it here and there, little snippets, but if it's not ingrained in these people's minds, we'll be talking to them for years and their concepts will be absolutely wrong. And this is another reason why any even base low-level scholar knows that black leaders are COINTELPRO's. Any basic scholar knows that. Anyone. You don't even take deep scholarship. So we already understand the problems that other nationals have with so-called black people. They take it as personal, black people are dissed. They don't know that they're looked at as traitors. They think it's an identity, when actually that's the tag for the Christian property Moors who betrayed their honor of their mothers and fathers and lost their birthright. So their treatment, their mistreatment is called retribution justice. And of course, the generations that come after suffer by default. And so the call to honor is for those who are honorable, if there's any left before they get eliminated. If there's any honorable ones left, they are what is called the nationals. That is the last ditch effort to save people that are getting ready to get exterminated and don't know it. The same way them other people in the Second World War who claim to be somebody that they're not, that end up going to barbecue parties. That's what King Alfred is. So there's injustice on a large scale, but it is not without justice either, meaning that we're not exactly innocent. Although, we're catching hell, we're not totally innocent. We're paying a price for something that was done generations past, and a correction was made, and we've been given a cycle of time to accept that correction or reject it. Then there's elimination. So a lot of these things by design, which are actually negative, you have to really look at them spiritual, because some of them are bound to happen because it's necessary for it to happen. It is not unlike, because we want to keep an even keel here. It is not a totally innocent people that are getting ready to get eliminated. It is a body of people who refuse to honor their mothers and their fathers and refuse to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and think that they're going to play with divine law and get away with it. Well, they are not. And they're going to be using vaporization techniques so they don't have to deal with the ashes. Now, that's really what's going to take place. Reason you're doing what you're doing, reason we're doing what we're doing, is to give these people an opportunity. Free will. Whosoever will, let them hear. Whosoever will, let them come. But whatever you will, so be it. And so what we're recognizing right now is things coming to what is called an apex, whereas no one can deny any longer, damn, something's wrong. I mean, something really wrong. I mean, wrong is wrong. And this is what we're starting to identify. But at the same time, we got to keep our heads clear to understand that while injustice is reigning on a major scale, retribution justice is also there. It's balancing out. So we want to make sure that it's dispensed without these people feeling like innocent victims, because they ain't exactly innocent victims. Because as you know, and as we know, everything that we do, according to our law, is to consider 7 generations down the pipe before any solid operations take place in relationship to Gaia or Mother Earth. There's nothing that we do that does not take consideration of generations 7 down. That's why Drew Ali said that we must correct this to save the earth from storms, earthquakes, etc., etc. Now, then he also warns you, and he says, what? Allah and man are one. So when we're looking at certain technologies that are used or not used, it's kind of raw, but we can't always think that is absolutely coming from a negative side, although the outcome is negative. Sometimes to fix things, people got to be smacked down to the ground. Now remember, when you're dealing with the Wigmore Party, even with a lot of the Negroes, who's really the white man, what's called white man, which is really the European who ain't the white man, part of that is retribution, justice for his abuse. Because most of the slavery was his, not ours. This is why the true history must be told. So when you see the split of the Wigmore Party with the conscience Whigs and the cotton Whigs, it is mostly the cotton Whigs that are running most of these ABC subdivisional agencies that have been systematically abusing us. The balance of the karmic debt has been already pretty much paid. This is where Drew Ali comes in. So we're talking about how divine law works out. So that gives, if there's anything clean left or worthy, it's an opportunity for them to be redeemed, if they want to be. But they ain't got to want to be. It's just that the checks are getting ready to get cashed. Really, that's really what's happening. So, and like we talked about before, we can't stop the blood. Our job is to limit it, but not get caught up emotionally thinking that we're going to stop the regime. Because they've been given more than an opportunity to honor their mothers and fathers. They want to be black, and they're getting ready to be really black. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Because every man, woman, and child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. Since they don't want to, they want to worship Rome. Rome didn't use them for food. They want to worship Rome? Fine. They want to worship Constantine and say it's Jesus? Fine, they have a right to do that. They also have a right not to breathe. And they have a right to consequences that goes with it. That's where they have absolutely no inheritance. They're going to take everything from them. Then kill them. Unfair, isn't it? It's called retribution justice. And if they really read them books that they claim they love, believe, Bible, Quran, Waspi, Pentateuch, Hexateuch, they would have seen themselves. But they want to take this spooky position rather than look at the dynamics of the chronology. They forgot themselves in their arrogance, in their self-righteousness, in their materialism, and called consequence. Anything that violates the nature of its construction is headed for genocide, or extinction. Whether genocide is used, whether natural disaster is used, whether it's injected by the hand of man, ultimately all still serve the same purpose. So what we're really caught in, all of us, and because I know it because it bothers me thinking about a lot, trying not to energetically cross the line of condemning everything the European does, knowing that some of what he's doing is from divine order. You know, even though it's an opposite, it's an opposing balance, it's still ultimately divine law because it doesn't recognize person or station. We're seeking a balance. Our job is to start thinking clearly to recognize the balance or the Peru line so that we don't keep swinging the pendulum out of frustration because we get frustrated because of the BS that goes on, so that we don't interject our emotions to such a degree that we push the pendulum back, and then now we got this more karmic debt that we got to clean up. This is where we are right now. And so we have to recognize we're at a we've already passed the stage of sustainable development or growth. Not because the earth can't stand it, because of the misuse of the technology, which must be clear. It's not the earth. If you take all the population on the planet, you can give them roughly a 4-foot square. Say, this is about a 6-foot square, these patterns here. You can take a 4-foot square and put all the population that's on the planet in Rhode Island. So, truthfully, mathematically, we know that the earth is not overpopulated. What you have is a misuse of her, an abuse of her. And so, she's a living, thinking being. The people don't know that. So what she's going to do is cleanse herself of those who are defiling her.
Wow.
And the people that's caught up in these dogmata systems don't know that because the priesthood ain't teaching them the truth about their relationship with her. So they think they can just do anything to her and that she ain't gonna kick their butts. You know, just like your mom. She be giving you milk, you be chilling out and everything, you start biting and you ain't getting no more titty. I mean, so what it is. And the earth is the same way. But they don't know that because the priesthood ain't teaching them the truth about their relationship. So what they've been doing, they don't know how to, I can't say that, because I'll be careful not to say that. Because when we keep saying that we don't know, it's kind of plausible because we know everything. We just disconnect. We disconnect, all right. And therefore, don't connect. And then say we don't remember. That's a safer way to say it, all right. Well, we know everything. We only sleep because we've been preoccupied gratifying our lower selves, and therefore we've drugged ourselves mentally. And then the priesthood used dogmata, counterfeit religion, to keep them asleep. And then they used schismata to keep them divided against each other, which is what we're countering. But anyway, I don't want to go on. But remember, Lincoln was the last president. The corporate entity was set up so that he could run for president, because he could not run for president because he's a member of the Barristers Association. However, when he recognized that it was actually a secret order set up to actually overthrow the republic, he tried to correct it, got him killed. All right, 1871, the persons claiming to be the Congress, who were already private board of directors. They were no longer the Congress. They were claiming to be, but they were no longer the Congress. They were board of directors. They set up the political platform for these operations. Everything that was set up, it was between 61 and 71. Everything that was set up was duplicitous. So whatever, say this is the original table. They did a duplicate table and made it look like that table. Every office, they did a duplicate office and made it look like that office. This is why in law they're all referred to as acting as president. Trading with the Enemy Act, the Butt Act, the Negro Act. All of those are acts. None was law. Why? Because the laws are only under the Republic. The key to their politics is, and have been, the art of keeping us fooled about the shade. And so the shade is this, and this is the two hats. The corporate or the dead, and the living. And the corporate is always placed in front of the living. And this is where you get your construction of the LLCs, all being members of the Roman Curia. So the Europeans set up the it's called limited liability corporations. And so when the people start talking about the problems that they have, they'll say like, oh, the city of Philadelphia sent me a notice, and they start talking about the complaint. Immediately they're under the spell. The city of Philadelphia can't talk. It is the dead. So what we have to do is always remember, and we have to purge ourselves doing it too, to always pull the living from behind the dead and talk to the living. The same way when you nationalize, what are you actually doing? I know you know, but I'm just saying in general. You're coming from behind the veil of the corpse of the dead, of the 14th Amendment, which was designed to disinherit you and to remove you from the human family, and for the unum sanctum policies by legal process to claim all estates. This is what Traficon is talking about. All right? Now, knowing that, we still have a tendency to keep calling him president and congressman without qualification. We're going to have to work hard not to do that anymore.
Yes, yes.
Because every time we call the office, because we're the heirs to the world's largest estate, it's taken as a trust statement. And when you say it, so be it. And this is where the Europeans keep saying that we keep consenting to the slavery. And this is also where the Europeans get frustrated with us sometimes, and they say, why don't you leave us the hell alone and go back to your Negro leaders who keep selling you into slavery? The reason he's saying that, because he knows they 32-degree Masons got a Moorish fez in secret anyway, while pretending that they don't know these people are Moors. So, so the European ain't totally always being nasty or mean. He's actually telling the truth sometimes. Is that the people don't know their history and therefore don't know that he's telling the truth. They think every time he says something, he's being nasty and mean. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But above all, we're going to have to get very clear with all of these people. They're not congressmen. They're board of directors. Obama is the president of a private contracting corporation who's compensated by default by the dead state of the people through taxation. Now, and I'm going to say this and I want to give this back to you. Keep in mind updates right now in this area, because they took the birthright here. You already know that there's a lot of political energy taking place at Philadelphia. So Philadelphia area is the fastest growing gentrification operation safely in the world. But as far as in North America, this target right here, Philadelphia, is the fastest growing gentrification taking place because they took the birthright here. All right? Keep in mind that because of the Asiatic nations joining forces to kill the UST bonds, which is leaned against us, all those liens are in them T-bonds. So what they're doing, they're building these big buildings as fast as they can, as many as they can, any spot that they can. Even though office spaces, you know, you're in the business. Half them offices is closed. The buildings that exist, them upper floors is empty.
City Hall, we have City Hall.
Yes, yes. So all of the instrumentation that they've created, all these bonds are dead, and it's hiding behind what you already know was quantitative easing. But anyway, take it from there because I'll be talking all day. But that concept, that canvas of thought, any national, if they don't have that canvas, their concepts will 90% be wrong. They'll be in the ballpark, but it's like firing a weapon that hasn't been zeroed in. Close range, you got it. 20 feet more away. I missed that. You know what zeroing in is. It's exactly that. So if they don't know that they're not Congress, they don't know that Mayor Kenny is the mayor of a private corporation registered in Puerto Rico. And because the Manchurians are killing their bonds, this is why they're doing that 3% tax on an ounce of
Soda.
juice
Sugar.
to
Sugar
rape
tax.
the people because they can't float bonds here anymore. So all of these things that you're thinking, that we see taking place, we have to look at them totally different than people who are not national. Because we have a different concept, because you've been exposed to the truth about your nationality and birthright. You see things totally different because you've been given information that has been held back from the masses. Once you have that knowledge, you're responsible to it. You know, in this spirituality, he says, you fed the world before, you're going to have to feed the world again. He also said the people claimed or tagged as Negro, black, and colored are fixed with the burden of civilizing the world again. It is on your shoulder. In order to change these people, you must change their literature. You have to counter indexos prohibitorum and indexos expurgatorius. It is your duty as a countermeasure. Therefore, you must go back to that state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers and restore that which was lost. Don't talk about that you can't do it. Don't talk about what you don't know, because all of it is in you. Your mother planted it in you. And so this is where he has the sister on the cover, unconscious, then humanity's on her womb. Well, you ought to get up and start talking, because I'll be talking all day.
What I'm supposed to say now? Listen. Yeah, what I'm saying now? I was asked the other day, what is the goal? What's the end game? Like, why y'all giving out this information? Why y'all talking to people about nationality? That's the end game, right? You know how many people don't know their way of cosmic people? You know how many people don't know that, don't really know what's inside of us that we can bring out? Like, you see those movies, just imagine a movie where it's dark in the room, right? And let's just say I got one of them jaws that's 180 degrees, and I just lean my head back, it'll look like it looks out there right now. Right? We got no clue. And I say we because I can't single us out. Right? I got to talk about everybody. The end game is to get everybody to open up their mouth and let it out. That's the end game. We got to teach people about their nationality. We got to teach them about their birthright. He just talked about they coming here to Philadelphia to do everything that they want to do. In the last class, what did we just talk about? Where they take the birthright at?
Right here.
No, I'm saying where.
Carpenter's Hall.
Where is it?
Here.
Where?
Jacquemus.
I know it's downtown. Where?
2 blocks below.
Streets. Give me streets. Where?
Chestnut.
What Chestnut?
6th.
5th and Chestnut. Thank you. 5th and Chestnut. Now, what did I tell you was in back of 5th and Chestnut? Under that statue of Commodore Barry. The ley lines, where the Earth's ley lines converge right behind what they call Independence Hall. They ain't coming here for no reason. They ain't coming here for no reason. When Ross Ben sat in here and he talked about Mystic Philadelphia and he took you on that tour, he told you about Fire Mountain, that they call Fairmount, where the art museum is at now. Where the natives said, no, you can't have that place. That is a place for us. That's our spiritual place.
They murdered.
Because now Albion found out that everything that's done in Philadelphia is done with the full cooperation of who? Mother Earth. They ain't coming here for no reason. They didn't take your nationality and birthright at 5th Market for no reason. They could have did it anyway. They could have went to 10th Street. No, they did it there because of the energy that's there. Now, Taj was saying, once you nationalize and you start learning about history, you start learning about law, you start learning about the universe. See, because it don't stop there. It don't stop with history and law. We got a lot to learn. We got a lot to learn. But in order for you to let it come out, at some point you're going to have to close your ears, you're going to have to close your mouth, you're going to have to close your eyes. You're going to have to let everything go. And when you open your ears, open your mouth, open your eyes, you'll see different. But you gotta be willing to listen. You can't learn if you can't listen.
Islam.
So I'm gonna just start talking. Talk about anything. Talk about what you did yesterday. Yeah, so you know, and go ahead, keep talking. Yeah, well, you know, yeah, so yeah, that's you know, and that's what happened. See, now, yeah, ain't neither one of us get nothing because I'm talking and he's talking. At some point, one of us got to shut up and listen. I can't learn nothing from him if I don't shut up and listen. Peace. Peace. When you see what you see, and others don't. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Sometimes there's something you can do. Earlier we talked about people being lost. Some people lost and they can't be found. But some people, they lost and they can be found. You just got to be willing to put in that work and go that extra mile. You're right. Mother Earth is cleansing herself. All of these little things that's happening all over the place, like James talked about earlier. Y'all see them floods in Texas?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she gonna cleanse herself.
Paris too.
In Paris too. She gonna cleanse herself. Now, Taj was talking about not honoring your mothers and fathers and paying that karmic debt. That's the same thing that happened in 1936. Now, I know some people don't know a lot about what happened in what they call Nazi Germany. A lot of people never studied that. I did. I went all in. I read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, Mankind. I even went to Dachau concentration camp in Germany. Right? A lot of people don't understand what was going on. There were some people that were not willing to honor their mothers and fathers.
Right.
And everybody thinks Adolf Hitler was a nut. He was no nut. He was helping Mother Earth cleanse herself. Them vaporization techniques that he's talking about, right down Interstate 95 through Baltimore, you'll see what they got on the side of the highway. Trash incinerator. And then you read King Alfred, and they say, we ain't going to go through what we went through 30 years ago. And then you do the math. You say, well, 30 years ago, it was Nazi Germany, it was the others. They ain't going to go through that. How hot you need to burn steel, to melt steel?
About
20. If you can melt steel at 27, why the hell do them things burn at 5,000? Just like that. Just like that. We need to prepare. The sister said earlier about killing our own. You don't want to have to do that. In reality, you don't want to have to kill anybody. You don't want to have to do that. But when it hits the fan, for real, they're coming. And you're going to have to listen. That's why I put all of this stuff in here. That's why I bought the magazines in here. And don't forget, whoever don't know how to load them, we'll show you. That's why I bought this in here. That's why we talk about all of this stuff, because it's going to hit the fan. It's going to hit the fan. You got people who don't honor them, but they don't know no better. They're going to be coming like wild beasts. Whether they're Europeans, Asiatics, however, they coming. And you need to prepare. That's why my man ain't listening. Me and the boo was downtown 2 weeks ago. And we were down 2nd Street. And he was talking about the Democratic National Convention, right? It kind of slipped my mind that it was going to be here. Then he made mention of a TV show that showed the Democratic National Convention, and what happened?
Disaster, blowing up.
Disaster. Disaster. It's going to be here in a little while. Remember? I told him something like that.
July,
July?
yeah.
Oh, shit.
June.
Next month. That's right, the election is in November.
Right downtown, it's in Charlotte, right?
No, they most likely, they're going to be at the convention center.
Yeah, let me there.
That's big enough for them. They're going to be at the convention center. Don't be surprised if something happens.
Real, they said, oh, we down there.
Don't be surprised.
Marshall Wallace.
Now, imagine that. He said martial law in August. If that's in July, and it hit the fan, that's the perfect reason to try to lock everybody down.
Last week in July.
Huh?
Last week in July.
Last week in July.
And right
And
now,
Moon
you know,
said-
they having riots in, with their parties anyway. So
Now,
it's like.
there you go. They have riots within the parties. Move said, he said August for martial law. Y'all better start getting that water and that rice and beans now. Y'all better start loading up that ammunition now. Y'all better go get a couple of them little, you can get 2 of them ovens, man. It was 25, 30 bucks. Some of them little cans of propane to start. And prepare. Everybody ain't gonna be still standing when the dust clears, but at least you can try. We ain't need to go over that. Y'all already know, zero population growth, increased death rate, lower the birth rate. They've been doing a good job of that. They've been doing a good job of that. So we ain't gotta go over that. We're practically out of time anyway. So I'm not sure when the next class will be. I think this is the only class this month. This is the only class we have this month. If you didn't write your email address down before you leave, please leave it. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start putting together some short videos between 7 minutes and 13 minutes. And I'm gonna email y'all these videos. Because, you know, because of our work schedule and because of different schedules and things fluctuating, we missing dates here. So in order to get the information out, I'll get it to you that way. I'll sit right in my living room, record it on the computer, and email it to you. This way we still getting information out and we ain't missing people. Information got to get out. I need to get it, you need to get it, we need to get it. Once we get it, then we can take it out and spread it as much as we can. Start to prepare. All of that stuff we talked about today, this stuff right here is something. That's 30 or 35 notes right there. You can go get that. Like I said, that can keep you warm and that can cook your food. Go get some water, go get some rice. Go get some beans. Go get whatever it is that you can cook up real quick. Self-preservation. Islam.